For decades, millions knew Colin Firth as the calm gentleman who always seemed to have the perfect life. He won the biggest awards, starred in unforgettable films, and became one of Britain's most respected actors. But behind the quiet smile was a man carrying heartbreak, private struggles, and painful choices that few people ever saw. At 65, his life tells a very different story than the one fans imagined. Success brought fame, but could not protect him from betrayal, loneliness, or the emotional cost of living so much of his life in the public eye. So what really happened to the man who appeared to have everything? And why do so many people now say his greatest battle began long after the cameras stopped rolling? Long before the awards, the red carpets, and the worldwide fame, Colin Firth was simply a quiet young boy trying to find his place in the world. Born into a family of teachers and academics, he grew up surrounded by books, ideas, and thoughtful conversations. His childhood was not filled with dreams of becoming a movie star. Instead, it was shaped by curiosity, observation, and a deep interest in people. Because of his parents' work, Colin spent parts of his childhood living in different countries. Moving from place to place was not always easy. Starting over meant making new friends, adjusting to new schools, and learning to fit into unfamiliar surroundings. Those experiences helped make him calm, patient, and a careful listener. Instead of seeking attention, he often stayed in the background, quietly watching the world around him. As he grew older, acting slowly became a way to express emotions that he rarely showed in everyday life. The stage gave him confidence, even when he still felt uncertain inside. Like many young actors, success did not come quickly. He faced rejection after rejection, wondering if his dream would ever become reality. But he refused to give up. Every setback became another lesson. Every small role helped him improve. His determination eventually led to larger opportunities, and audiences began noticing something different about him. He did not rely on loud performances or flashy charm. Instead, his strength came from honesty, warmth, and quiet emotion. As his career continued to grow, unforgettable roles turned Colin Firth into one of Britain's most respected actors. Yet even as millions recognized his face, he remained deeply protective of his personal life. While many celebrities welcomed constant publicity, Colin chose privacy. To him, home mattered more than headlines. Friends often described him as loyal, kind, and deeply devoted to the people he loved. It seemed he had found a rare balance between worldwide success and a peaceful family life. From the outside, everything looked almost perfect, but appearances can be deceiving. Behind the smiling photographs and successful career, a new chapter of Colin's life was quietly beginning, one that would test everything he believed about love, trust, and happiness. As Colin Firth's career reached new heights, something even more important entered his life: love. While filming and traveling around the world, he met Italian film producer and director Livia Gigioli. Their connection grew naturally, built on shared values instead of Hollywood glamour. Before long, they married and began building a life together that seemed grounded, peaceful, and far removed from the noise of celebrity. Unlike many famous couples, Colin and Livia rarely chased the spotlight. They chose to keep their family life as private as possible, believing that real happiness did not need public attention. Together, they raised 2 sons, creating a home where family came before fame. Colin often arranged his work around his loved ones, choosing projects carefully so he could spend more time at home. To fans, they appeared to have achieved something rare in the entertainment world: a lasting marriage built on respect and trust. While tabloids searched for scandals involving other celebrities, Colin's name was usually linked to his work, not personal drama. That quiet reputation only strengthened the image of him as one of the industry's true gentlemen. At the same time, Colin's career continued to flourish. Acclaimed performances earned him international praise, culminating in an Academy Award for The King's Speech. Even with such enormous success, he remained humble and thoughtful. Fame never seemed to change the man people knew behind the cameras. But no family is completely untouched by pressure. Balancing international careers, constant travel, and public expectations can slowly create distance, even between people who deeply care for one another. These struggles are often invisible from the outside, hidden behind smiling photographs and carefully managed public appearances. Years passed, and the picture of a perfect marriage remained intact. Few people suspected that private challenges were quietly growing behind closed doors. The couple continued to present a united front, while dealing with difficulties that only they truly understood. Then, almost without warning, a deeply personal crisis escaped the walls of their private life and became international news. For most of his career, Colin Firth had achieved something that very few Hollywood stars could. He had kept his private life almost entirely out of the headlines. While other celebrities faced constant rumors and public drama, Colin focused on his work and protected his family from unnecessary attention. That quiet balance lasted for many years. Then everything changed. Reports about difficulties in his marriage began to surface, drawing intense media interest. A deeply personal situation that should have remained private quickly became the subject of newspaper stories and online discussions around the world. Instead of celebrating another successful chapter in his career, Colin found himself dealing with painful questions that had nothing to do with acting. For someone who valued privacy above almost everything else, the experience was especially difficult. Every headline brought fresh attention to a period that was already emotionally exhausting. The public only saw short news stories and dramatic headlines, but behind them was a family trying to navigate a painful and complicated chapter of their lives. Despite the growing attention, Colin refused to turn the situation into a public battle. He did not give emotional television interviews or make angry public statements. Instead, he handled the situation with the same quiet dignity that had defined his career. Legal matters were allowed to take their course, while Colin remained focused on protecting his family and supporting his children through an incredibly challenging time. In 2019, Colin and Livia announced that they had decided to separate after more than 2 decades of marriage. Their joint statement emphasized that they remained close friends and were committed to raising their children together with love and respect. It was a calm and respectful ending to a relationship that had once seemed unbreakable. Even as his personal world changed, Colin continued working. He appeared at public events, accepted new acting roles, and carried himself with the same professionalism audiences had always admired. Yet those closest to him understood that heartbreak does not disappear simply because someone continues to smile. The cameras could capture his performances, but they could never fully capture the quiet sadness of rebuilding a life after losing something he had spent years trying to protect. When a long chapter of life comes to an end, there is no script that tells a person what to do next. For Colin Firth, life after his marriage was not about dramatic public appearances or trying to rewrite the past. Instead, it became a quiet journey of acceptance, healing, and moving forward one step at a time. Although the separation marked the end of a relationship that had lasted more than 20 years, it did not erase the memories they had built together. Colin remained devoted to his children and continued to place family at the center of his life. Those who knew him said he stayed focused on what mattered most, choosing dignity over conflict and privacy over publicity. At the same time, his acting career continued to evolve. Rather than chasing every major blockbuster, Colin often chose projects that challenged him as an artist. His performances still carried the quiet honesty that had made audiences admire him for decades. Many viewers noticed that the emotional depth in his later roles seemed even more powerful, shaped by the real experiences life had placed before him. Growing older in Hollywood brings its own challenges. New stars arrive every year, trends change, and careers naturally evolve. Yet Colin never depended on fame alone. His greatest strength had always been authenticity. Directors continue to trust him because he brought sincerity and humanity to every character he portrayed. His story also reminds people that success cannot protect anyone from heartbreak. Awards cannot fix broken relationships, and public admiration cannot remove private pain. In the end, celebrities face many of the same struggles as everyone else. The difference is that their hardest moments often unfold under the watchful eyes of the world. Today, Colin Firth remains one of Britain's most respected actors, not simply because of the films he has made, but because of the grace with which he has handled life's most difficult chapters. His journey is no longer just about fame. It is about resilience, quiet strength, and the courage to keep moving forward even when life does not go as planned. As he entered his mid-60s, one truth became impossible to ignore. The greatest role Colin Firth ever played was not on a movie screen. It was becoming a man who faced heartbreak with dignity, proving that true character is revealed not in moments of success, but in moments of loss. When people think about Colin Firth, they often remember the unforgettable characters he brought to life. They remember the shy but charming Mr. Darcy, the determined King George VI, and many other roles that earned him worldwide respect. But behind every performance stood a man whose own life was far more complex than any script could capture. For decades, Colin carefully separated his public career from his private world. He never tried to become the loudest celebrity in the room. Instead, he let his work speak for itself. That quiet approach earned him something more valuable than headlines. It earned him lasting respect. His personal struggles reminded millions that fame does not protect anyone from heartbreak. No amount of success can prevent disappointment, loss, or difficult choices. Even people who appear to have perfect lives carry burdens that others never see. What makes Colin's story remarkable is not the pain he experienced, but the way he responded to it. He chose dignity instead of revenge. He chose privacy instead of public arguments. Even during one of the hardest periods of his life, he continued working, supporting his family, and treating others with kindness. In a world where personal drama often becomes public entertainment, that quiet strength became one of his greatest achievements. Today, at 65, Colin Firth continues to build a career based on talent rather than attention. He remains respected by fellow actors, directors, and audiences across the world. While his life has not been free from sadness, it has also been filled with resilience, purpose, and determination. Perhaps that is the real lesson behind his journey. Life rarely follows the perfect path people imagine. Dreams can come true, relationships can change, and even the strongest hearts can be broken. Yet a person's true character is revealed by how they rise after life knocks them down. As the story comes to a close, one image remains. Not a lonely man defeated by heartbreak, but a quiet gentleman continuing to move forward with grace, carrying both his successes and his scars. Because in the end, Colin Firth's greatest legacy may not be the awards on his shelf or the famous roles he played. It may simply be the example he set, that kindness, resilience, and dignity never go out of style, no matter what life brings.